Hey everyone, welcome back to Nueva People. So today in this episode, what I wanted to do was go through a common question that comes up in interview processes, which is, what are your strengths? Now, when we talk about what are your strengths, we want to know more about whether you're self-aware about what your strengths are and what you can bring to the table when you actually talk about this question. All right, so before we answer this question, what I want to do is I want to talk about brainstorming, what your strengths are. And then after brainstorming, we want to go through each one of those criteria and see in the job description itself what's relevant in the role, and then preparing a response for it. Now, before we go through those steps and processes, what I want to do is just give you a little bit of a note in terms of what not to say in that interview when answering the question, what are your strengths? The first thing is I wouldn't recommend talking about technical skills, because what that is it's a skill in terms of using like a software-based system. And I guess in this world at the moment where we're constantly going through changes, and so software is constantly developing. And so if your strengths lie in one sort of technical role, it's ever changing. And so maybe relying on transferable skills instead in terms of what you've learned in there will help benefit that sort of interview process even more. So in terms of that, that's the first thing I would recommend not to do. The second thing is to keep it to transferable skills. So what can you bring across the table to the new role itself? So is it communication skills? Is it collaboration? Or is it teamwork? Like, what can you bring to the table that's relevant to the job to be able to thrive in the current environment? And I think the fourth thing is try to show rather than tell in terms of what your skills are. So if you're saying you got good communication skills, where have you displayed that in your role itself? So those are the key things that I would look out for when answering these questions. Now, let's dive in to actually the work itself.
All right, so here we are back on the computer screen, and what I wanted to do is show you this template that I made. It's called a strength analysis template, and the purpose of this is to go through a process of, first of all, brainstorming what your strengths are, and then second of all, looking at the job description itself, and then also thinking about how your strengths can relate to what the job is. And then third of all, crafting that response in a very simple way. And that way you can have a more detailed response when answering that question. And so when you go into that interview, you're more prepared in terms of what you're going to say to the manager. Now, if we go through an example that I've crafted, what I wanted to use was a retail assistant role. And I grabbed a job description from Seek. So then that way it's very relatable to what's out there in the market right now. And what we're doing is we're going to apply for a showroom sales consultant, which is one step above a retail assistant, because with the showroom sales consultant, you're more looking at the technical side of things and looking at the product itself and making sure that those needs of the customers are met on a consultative basis. And this person right here will be going from retail to showroom. So in order to kind of understand what your strengths are and to go a little bit more into detail, you do have to do a brainstorm in terms of what your current responsibilities are right now, what's your education and your skills, as well as the technical abilities that you've obtained from the role itself. So if we use this example right here, a retail assistant's role is to welcome, greet customers, maintain display purchases, recommend products to customers, answer questions and address any concerns that they may have, informing customers of sales, policies, promotions, and showing how the products work, as well as taking payment and dealing with FPOS refunds and inventory as well. So that's the main responsibilities in a nutshell. And this person right here wants to be pursuing marketing as well. And so right now they're studying marketing as a uni degree. And they've got technical abilities in terms of understanding how SAP system works, because that's what their company does, as well as FPOS and the inventory stock system that they use too. So some of the soft skills that come along with retail assistants are they're able to communicate quite well, because they're constantly on the floor dealing with people, different personalities. And so they've kind of honed that ability to kind of communicate with customers. And they're required to keep a professional appearance as well when dealing with customers, and they generally have a friendly and outgoing manner when dealing with them, and a desire to help, which is a very customer service focus. So when we go back to sort of the showroom sales consultant role itself, some of the key descriptions in that job description in which I looked at was welcoming customers in a showroom, which is quite similar, promoting and selling products to customers, providing more of a consultative solution to customers, following up quotes and leads to convert sales, which is quite different to what a retail assistant would do. They generally process the orders on the spot, but this one requires a little more detail in terms of going through, what their needs are, to what whether the products whether the products are available to suit their needs, as well as administrative paperwork of constantly following up on the phone, trying to convert them to leads as well. So it's more of a sort of sales role, sales consultative role. And answering clients' calls to assist with order and pricing. And also they've got a KPI as well that they have to meet. So it's quite similar, but different at the same time. And so what some of the technical abilities are in this role itself is you need to understand the Oracle system, the V6 system, and the product and service knowledge of the company, which this candidate does not have at all. But what they do have is some transferable skills. And when looking at the soft skills itself, there's a few things such as communication, negotiation skills, proven sales experience, which is correct because this person has retail experience, which is sales, but a different sort of sale itself. A customer service attitude, well-organized, self-motivated, able to multitask, positive and energetic in their attitude, and willing to learn. Some of the skills on there are like motivated and resilient towards achieving targets that can be relatable as well based on what your KPIs are in your previous company. But you can work more towards the transferable skills when answering the questions, what are your strengths? And so what I did was I looked at most, the current skills that this candidate's had, and also the current skills that they want in this role. And so what I came up with was a few strengths in which I think might be able to help this person get the role itself. And so one of the strengths that I find which will work is being very solution orientated and self-motivated, especially in the sales, because it requires a lot of resilience and really converting customers over in a consultative manner. So one of the strengths that I found was solution orientated and self-motivated. And it's in this situation, staying calm is very beneficial in this situation, because generally you will have customers come in, and grumpy customers actually, that come in and asking where the product is, where the services are at, and as well as saying that unfortunately that's not what I wanted in that conversation. So navigating tricky situations like that, it's very I wouldn't say common, but is part of the role itself. And so when cultivating this sort of response, it's good to just note what the strengths are and put a support around that, to say, when have you showed and demonstrated those strengths in your current role itself? So let's say, example, I was in this retail assistant role and I had a very solution orientated approach, and I'm very self-motivated in terms of like achieving KPIs. And so I would say, whenever I find myself in a stressful situation, whether it's a Christmas Boxing Day sale or a financial year sale, I'm always able to keep a cool head where I take a step back to assess the situation objectively. I always refer back to my KPIs and goals. And this allows me to take into account all the factors I need to allow me to make a sound decision. My team have given me feedback that they find my calm demeanor and solution-oriented approach quite comforting whenever stressful situations arise. So that could be like your first sort of drafted response in terms of what are my strengths, because it's got the strength and it's got the support, and also when have you demonstrated that situation and what's the feedback as well. The second thing as well that I noticed is that in the job description, it said you must be a team player. And for you to be a team player, I thought, straight away, that's one thing that they definitely want in their team. And so you can put that as a strength to say, able to work in a team. Now, when you're crafting this response as well, quite similar to the previous sort of example, put your strength down, what the actual strength is, and put some support in terms of when you demonstrated that in your current role. So I personally enjoy helping others, and my co-workers would often come to me for help when they feel stressed out, because they know that at the end of the day, I always provide them an objective point of view and always try my best to help them get back on track. My approach is very solution orientated, and when situations do often come quite overwhelming, I'm always counted on to be able to help everyone find a solution to fix any problems. And that's it. So those are some of the examples that I can provide in terms of strengths. And this is a worksheet that will be available if you would like a copy of it. I'm going to put in the link below. If you want to use it and if it's helpful, do let me know, because I want to produce more content that is more beneficial for everyone to be able to make the job searching process a little bit more easier. So if you like this video, comment, like, give me a subscribe, and also just let me know what kind of topics you'd like me to talk about, and I'll accommodate and try to give my input in terms of how I can make your life a little bit easier in the job searching process. Or if you're looking for candidates, I can definitely help with that as well. So this is it for the video for tell me about what are your strengths, and I'll see you for the next one. See you guys.